Hi everybody, I'm Sean Woodland and welcome to a special edition of the CrossFit Games Update Show. Today we're exploring a topic that has critical information for all CrossFit Games athletes, and it has to do with understanding nutritional supplements and drug testing, and the impact that both of those have on all competitors in our sport. Richard Bohlken was drafted out of high school by the Los Angeles Angels, and he pursued a professional baseball career before ending his playing days at Lubbock Christian. He started CrossFit in 2012 and then last year made it to the CrossFit Games where he finished 16th. This year it looked like he was well on his way towards a return trip to Carson when he qualified for the South Regional, but then everything changed. On April 6th, Bohlken failed an out-of-competition drug test, and the ensuing investigation into how he tested positive for a banned substance provides a cautionary tale for all competitive athletes who use nutritional supplements in their everyday training regimen. CrossFit senior writer Mike Warkentin sat down with Bohlken yesterday.
Hey Richard, thank you so much for joining us here today. In your career, did you have any previous drug tests at the collegiate or professional level?
I was tested 3 times during spring training.
With the Angels?
Yes, with the Angels. Same type of drug testing as CrossFit, very, very strict, person watching over your shoulder, the whole deal.
Were you given any instructions as a collegiate or professional player about supplements and banned supplements, stimulants, performance-enhancing drugs, anything like that?
Yeah, Major League Baseball has a very extensive drug policy. I couldn't tell you exactly everything that's involved in it, but it is as strict as CrossFit's drug tests. They're probably pretty parallel. I passed all my drug tests in Major League Baseball's drug testing policy. As far as my supplementation, and that was protein, still took everything that I took today. That's all I've known throughout high school, throughout college, throughout pro ball, and throughout CrossFit. That's what I've done. Just in this case, it's a different situation.
Tell me about the 24 hours in advance of that. You get an email or you get a phone call. How do you get your test?
I'm not exactly sure what I was doing on April 6th, but I got a phone call from a lady that said, this is so-and-so from Drug-Free Sport. We're going to be drug testing you tomorrow at such and such time. I believe I worked that night prior, woke up the next day because I work into the morning. So I woke up around 12, got my hair cut, and then went and got my drug test at my own house at about 2 o'clock.
At that point, was there any trepidation? Did you feel like, oh man, is there anything that I got to worry about here? Or how did you feel about that one?
No, I mean, I took a test like I took a test. I wasn't expecting anything to come up. I'm not taking anything I wasn't aware that I was taking anything that was wrong. I'm not somebody who tries to cut corners. I was taking the same supplements that I was taking last year, but South Central region, that went fine, so nothing changed, and unfortunately it did.
Yeah. So over the course of your career, you've never knowingly taken any performance-enhancing drugs?
Never.
Right. April 24th, when you get notification that you failed the drug test, what happens? What goes through your mind? What's your reaction at that point?
April 24th stands right now as the worst day of my life. I read the email that I failed the drug test for Austrian. It said I had 72 hours to appeal. I called everybody I know. I called my wife. I called my coach. I called the Fitness Essentials company. I called everybody because I wasn't sure how this could be possible. And one of the reasons why I felt so safe about them was they were my friends. Right. They stood in my wedding. I knew them, so I've never expected something like this to happen. And I'm that 1%, 0.001% that this happened unknowingly. It was a mistake on other people's part, and it's something that can happen to anybody.
Had you ever heard of Austrian before? Is that anything you'd heard of that?
I've never heard of it until April 24th.
When you heard about it, you researched it. How did you trace back to how it got into you? My
wife ended up doing a lot of this investigative work for me. I mean, I was mentally just exhausted, depressed, real down on myself. I believe on Saturday it was found out that Fitness Essentials had produced this product,
That's
Austrian.
Your sponsor?
Yes. This product, Austrian, in the same facility that they make their post and pre-workout. And they made Austrian for another private customer in a little capsule form. And what goes in these little capsules are just a little powder. What goes in the post and pre is powder. And somehow the lines got crossed and they got contaminated.
I read in your letter of appeal that you wanted some assurances from your supplement company that the products they were supplying you with were clean. What assurances were you given and by whom, and how did those turn out in the end?
I wanted them to have something that said, someone said this is good. So what they did was they sent all the products to Drug-Free Sport Rec, something like that, the labels of the products, and Drug-Free Sport would come back with, this product is good, NCAA standards, this product is bad, this product is good, this product is bad.
So just to clarify, the labels were sent off for testing to Drug-Free Sport, or did you actually send the substances themselves for evaluation?
From my understanding, the labels of each supplement was sent off to Drug-Free Sport. So all that I know was whatever was on the label was put into the testing, and they're the ones that came back and said that yes, everything on the label was good. That happened April 2014, and so I took it throughout that portion, and that was into regionals, and everything tested out great after that.
I'm going to just read you this paragraph, and I want to tell me what it meant to you then and what it means to you now, because obviously there's a problem, there's a gap in that system. Drug-Free Sport recommends athletes be safe and always use a food-first approach to meeting energy needs for sports performance. Supplements are not worth the risk when gains in health performance and nutrition can be achieved through food. Supplements are always a risk for student athletes as they are highly under-regulated by the FDA. The NCAA does not approve use of any supplement for this reason. Choosing to take certain supplements is at the student athlete's risk. Do you remember that one, and what did you think of it then, and what do you think of it now?
I understand everything that they said, and it also goes by the same guidelines as CrossFit says you're responsible for everything that you put in your body. Now I don't know what to expect. I don't know what to take. I don't know what's safe. You know, I'm kind of lost and worried about the next step forward, like what I'm going to do from here on out. Trust is definitely broken in that industry for me.
Do you think there's a chance that a supplement company put something into your supplements that you didn't know about?
I don't think they did it on purpose, no. I hope they didn't do it on purpose. I think it was an honest mistake on their part.
And your contact at Fitness Essentials was Zach Barner, correct?
Yes.
And he was your former strength coach at Lubbock Christian University?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm just going to read you a part of one of Zach's letters of support that he gave for you in your appeal process. And he said that although our company and other reputable manufacturers strive to adhere to suggested guidelines, mistakes such as cross-contamination can still happen. It's unfortunate, but that is the reality of the business. Do you agree with that?
Now, yes. The situation I'm going through, that's as clear as it gets. Yes, it's unfortunate, and it did happen, and it's I don't know how it happened, and I don't know if it can be controlled, but yeah, that is the reality of the business, and athletes need to be aware of it.
How do you rebuild your reputation? What's the next step going forward for you? What does the next year look like for you?
I've been playing that question over in my head a million times. I don't know if I've gotten the correct answer down to it, but what I do know is it's gonna be difficult. It's gonna be an uphill battle, but surrounding myself with the right people to hopefully get myself through it.
Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. I really hope this helps other athletes. We really appreciate your candid comments.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Right.
I'm joined now by CrossFit Games General Manager Justin Berg. And Justin, we've heard from Richard. Have we heard from his supplement company, and if so, what did they say about this?
We have. We heard from Zach Barnard, the owner of Fitness Essentials, who is Zach's sponsor and also the manufacturer of the products that he was taking last year and this year. The stories match up identically, so they're both saying the same story. They take full responsibility for the contaminated substances. When they had the labels originally looked at by Drug-Free Sport, they said they had every intent to manufacture exactly what they had on the label. Earlier this year, in February, they started producing a private batch of supplements that had a banned substance, Austrian, in it. They continue to produce those supplements, sometimes right before, right after they were producing the supplements that Richard was taking. They knew about that, Richard did not know about that, and ultimately that's what resulted in Richard's positive test.
So if they're taking responsibility and saying that, yes, this is our fault, why is Richard still being disqualified?
This gets to the heart of why CrossFit has a drug testing policy, period. Ultimately, athletes are responsible for what they put in their body. Not the supplement company, not your sponsor, but the athletes. And the reason we do this is because the drug testing program is designed to make sure that there's a level playing field for all athletes, and also to make sure that the hard work and the training and the performance of these athletes is validated. And for those reasons, even if Richard didn't know what he was taking, he had a banned substance and a performance enhancer in his body, and he's responsible for that.
Why are we taking time to announce this now?
Well, from a practical standpoint, the reason why is CrossFit has implemented an out-of-season testing program. We started this after the 2013 CrossFit Games. What that looks like is that we enter athletes into a registered testing pool. That way we have their whereabouts and we could administer quick no-notice tests within 24 hours. So the reason that we are announcing this now is because, first off, it's right before regionals, and I think this is an important message for athletes going into regionals. And also practically because he was tested in the off season, we didn't just wait until regionals for the test to begin.
Expand on that off-season testing program. What exactly does that entail for athletes?
What that entails is, since 2013, we've been doing this year-round. That includes blood testing as well as urine testing, so that we get a full calendar of testing with all of these athletes. The results of this has been a lot of tests. We've had 765 tests from 2013 to where we are right now. By the end of this year, in a 3-year span, we'll have tested 1,000 times. Of those 1,000 tests, we've had of those 765 to date, we've had 13 positive results. 10 of those 13 could have been prevented by following the therapeutic use exemption process that we list in CrossFit Games drug testing policy. 3 of those other cases looks like they were supplements. Some of those could have been avoided by what was on the label. The reason we're giving Richard an opportunity now to present his case is because he is the single positive test that we've had in the last 3 years where he can directly point to the reason for the contamination of his supplements. I think that's an important message that everybody needs to understand, whether you're an athlete or just taking supplements casually.
What happens if an athlete is notified that he or she is going to be tested and then tries to delay, dodge, or just simply not take the test?
If an athlete does not take the test, or for whatever reason they're not cooperating with the collection agent, then they will be sanctioned with the exact same penalty as if they failed that test. So refusing to take a test is the same as failing your test in our book.
When you listen to Richard, it sounds like he did his due diligence in this. Could this have been prevented?
Richard certainly made an effort. However, he also blew by some very obvious caution signs. I think the supplement industry, everybody knows, is underregulated, so it's hard to make sure that you get exactly what's on the label. Also, and Mike read this to him in person, the notice that he got back from Drug Free Sport, in the very first paragraph says they recommend a food-first approach to performance and nutrition, and also that they do not approve any supplements because there's no way that they can guarantee that the label that they saw on an email is the same as what's actually inside the product that athlete's taking. So they remove themselves from that liability, so does CrossFit. Ultimately, it's the athlete's responsibility to do some of that homework.
There are athletes out there right now who are taking supplements as part of their daily training regimen. What should they be doing?
There's no concrete answer to that. So there's no path that we can say, if you walk from here to there and you do all these things, then you are 100% safe. The only way to be 100% safe that you don't take a supplement that tests you positive is you don't take supplements, period. Athletes that are taking supplements and they use that as a tool in their training, that's understandable. However, they need to make sure they're asking some tough questions. And that might mean looking into the manufacturing process, the raw ingredients, the final product that they're taking. And even then, there's no guaranteed result from this. So even if you're taking anything and it's got all the stamps in the world, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's the same product that you're going to be ingesting. So you have to be responsible for that.
Justin Berg, General Manager of the CrossFit Games, thank you so much for stopping by. I also want to thank Richard Bohlken for joining us and sharing his story. If you want to know more about CrossFit's drug testing policy, go to the rulebook section on games.crossfit.com.